Hackers, wake up. I don't like this.
Grossi Posse Packer Nation. Welcome to an episode of Packcast, the podcast where you don't have to be a Packers fan. But if you want to enjoy the pits of hell, you can be. I'm Tom Grossi. There's an intro here. I don't know. Everything is bad. And if you're like, Tom, that seems really sloppy of you, I guess I've just been watching too much Packers football. Because today, we are going to break down the Green Bay Packers loss to the Washington Commanders. 23-21. This is not only the third loss in a row for the Green Bay Packers, but it comes against the Giants, who, to be fair, have been doing pretty well. The Jets, who are underrated, but now the Commanders. And at some point, there has to be a bottom here. I feel like I just keep falling, and I'm like, oh, okay, there's the ground. At least, like, I'm gonna be done soon. But nay, it's just a portal gun, and I'm falling for all eternity. That's what it feels like right now. And I have so much I want to talk about. I have so much that I want to break down. And infuriated is a word that I would use. And it is based off the state of the play of the Packers offense, the second half of the defense, which I don't even put all of it on them because some of it is going to stem from the offense, talking about the coaching. But good God, it is exhausting hearing the narratives for the past 3 weeks. You can argue 4 when they were even going up against Bailey Zappi. This past month of just, it's all Aaron Rodgers. It's all Matt LaFleur. It's all the offensive line. It's all Joe Barry. It's players not executing. It's because you don't have Devontae Adams. It's because you didn't get a wide receiver in the first round. It's all of these single point narratives that people have taken and run with and spewed out. And it's infuriating because they're not necessarily wrong that the thing they're mentioning could be a problem. But if you are looking, and I mean looking at the Green Bay Packers in 2022 and going, oh, well, if they just fix this, they're fine. I don't know what team you're watching because let me be very clear. This is a team-wide problem. There are problems on offense. There are problems on defense. There are problems on special teams. There is problem with coaching. There are so many issues with the Packers, and what you are seeing, the product on the field, is a result of all of those problems. So I'm going to make an attempt to go through some of these problems today. I wanted to make a video over the weekend of what the hell's wrong with the Green Bay Packers, but I guess this is that video now, so strap in. We're going to talk about the Commanders game, and then we're just going to break down the Green Bay Packers and potentially have a breakdown ourselves. First, let's talk about Aaron Rodgers. Went 23 for 35, 194 yards, 2 touchdowns, didn't get sacked. And I'm going to focus on some of the good for a hot second. The offensive line, completely reconfigured for today. They finally listened. They moved Elton Jenkins away from right tackle, and they moved him over to guard. Yosh Nijman took over for right tackle. David Bakhtiari, unfortunately, didn't play today because had kind of a knee issue, and they were being a bit cautious about it. And so instead, you had the rookie, Zach Tom, starting over there, and didn't do the absolute worst. I mean, Rodgers didn't get sacked. Yes, he was pressured at times, but not too bad. That's a silver lining, a little part of the offensive line. However, if we continue talking about the offensive line, we need to talk about the number of penalties that the offensive line committed today. And a lot of them, of course, were holding, in which they put us in holes that we, quite frankly, could not get out of. Why? Well, because the offense can't freaking do anything. So it literally was just, oh, we shot ourselves in the foot. Okay. But then the next drive, we shot ourselves in the knee. And you're like, we're just going to keep on moving up, huh? It was horrific. Just the amount of times the Packers had opportunities and simply they just made fools of themselves. Aaron Rodgers himself was not his best game. Looking at some of the throws, definitely struggled. Made some great throws as well, especially that touchdown to Aaron Jones near the end of the game. And this is what I've been saying now for weeks. Aaron Rodgers does not look amazing. However, he can still do amazing things. It's just not at the consistent level. Now, why is that? Could it be age? Absolutely. Could 100% be age. That could be a factor in it. Is it because he has a hand injury? Absolutely. That could play another factor in it. Can it be because the offensive line before today is a problem? Absolutely. Can it be Matt LaFleur's play calling? Absolutely. Can it also be players not executing and running into each other? Absolutely. You see, all of these things are a problem. It's not just one thing, but because all of these things are happening, Aaron Rodgers is not looking so great. And again, I want to be very clear because I don't want to come off as an Aaron Rodgers apologist. He also needs to play better. But one of the narratives I want to attack here is, oh, we'll put in Jordan Love. The problem with that is that you are then going to trust the team to Jordan Love. And I know exactly what you're thinking right now if you're kind of going on with this narrative. Well, it's going to force Matt LaFleur to run the ball more. And listen, that would be great. But guess what? He should already be running the ball more with his back-to-back MVP QB. So if your only response is put Jordan Love in because then maybe they'll have to lean on Aaron Jones, guess what? That's a coaching issue, and that comes down to Matt LaFleur. And I already know some of you are saying, well, Tom, Aaron Rodgers keeps on audibling out, he just wants to take the game into his hands, blah, blah, and that might be 100% true. I don't know. You don't know because Matt LaFleur and Aaron Rodgers, they seem to be on the same page and they're not attacking each other. And when I say on the same page, I mean with the narrative that they're giving the media. I don't know what's going on during the game. You don't know what's going on during the game either. So whether it's Matt LaFleur calling that play or whether it's Aaron Rodgers audibling out of that play so he doesn't hand the ball off to Aaron Jones, either way, it is a problem because the same page that they are with the media, they are not on the same page right now in playing football and calling plays and executing them. So that's Aaron Rodgers. But let's talk about the run game. Aaron Jones, 8 carries, 23 yards. A.J. Dillon, 4 carries, 15 yards. 12 total carries. Aaron Rodgers threw the ball 35 times. 35. Against a not great defense in the Washington Commanders. Now, Aaron Jones in the passing game, 9 for 53, 2 touchdowns, was the most targeted receiver. He only had 2 yards less than Allen Lazard, who was targeted 6 times and had 55 yards. And the issue here is now it comes down to, okay, let's look at the lack of running the ball. If you just gave the ball every single play to either Aaron Jones or A.J. Dillon, defenses will eventually adjust, right? However, with the defenses that are being played against us, teams are daring us to run the football. And the problem is there was definitely some in which the Washington Commanders, they sniffed it out. They stopped Aaron Jones. One was a 6-yard loss on first down. By the end of it, because of a holding play, we ended that drive at 4th and 25 and kicking it out of our own end zone. That's not great. However, there was a bunch where the Packers just ran the same exact play as a little shuffle pass to Aaron Jones. They ran that a couple of times. They just did it on the other side, on the left side then, and it was finding some room and some yards. But when it's 4th and really short and you have A.J. Dillon back there and your first thought is, yeah, let me throw this ball, that I think is a problem because then why do we have these players? And make no mistake, right now, Aaron Jones is the best player on the Packers offense. And it's not even close. They put up a statistic today. When he gets the ball a whole lot, guess what? The Packers' record is significantly better than when he doesn't. Is that a coincidence? I think not. And that, again, whether it's Aaron Rodgers or Matt LaFleur, they need to figure it out. And we've been joking about it, but Philadelphia literally bullied, their whole fan base bullied that team into running the ball more last year. Maybe that's what needs to happen here. But let's talk about the receivers for a moment. A lot of drops today. Lot of drops. So that is on the receivers, and that's where the other narrative comes in, where it's like, okay, well, we need to go and get a wide receiver, or we should have drafted a wide receiver in the first round, because if we got Christian Watson in the first round, rather in the beginning of the second round, that would have made a major difference. The issue is that, 1, the play calling is not good. 2, players are not executing. They're literally running into each other on the field. That's a problem. And yes, they are also dropping the ball. Sammy Watkins came back, didn't do a whole lot until like the very end. Romeo Doubs, he had some really bad drops today. He also was a rookie. There's no Christian Watson. The other guy who's been the most dependable is Randall Cobb. He's not playing for quite some time. So there's issues here in which they are beat up. And guess what? Do you know how you solve that problem? I don't know. Maybe run the ball! Just an idea. And again, that doesn't solve every single issue, but it starts to solve a bit of a problem, and at least it makes the defense go, we're not just going to sit back here and just wait for you to throw the ball because we know you're going to. That in itself is a problem. But let's dive a little bit deeper into the offense and look into the data here. So, the Packers have played 7 weeks of football. 4 out of those 7 weeks, the Packers have been shut out in quarter 3. 3 out of those 7 weeks, they've been shut out in quarter 4. And the only reason it's not 4 out of 7 is because the Giants gave them a safety in week 5. So that is a total of 43 points. And in one of those games, the one against the Patriots, they scored 17. The second half offense have been abysmal. They are going 3 and out. They're giving the ball right on back to the opposing offense and putting a tired defense back on the field, which is then causing the defense to struggle, which I'm so glad you asked. That's what we're going to talk about next. Let's talk about the defense. I gave you those statistics right there. Let's look at for the defense. Through the first 3 weeks of this season, Packers defense was pretty good. They only allowed 18 points in the second half. Since then, so in weeks 4 through 7, they have allowed 34 points in quarter 3 and 34 points in quarter 4 for a total of 68 points in the second half of the games. That is pretty damn bad. Now, you look at that and go, okay, why is that? Well, the easy answer is, like I said before, the Packers offense is struggling. They keep on going 3 and out or very, very short plays, and they give the ball right back to the opposing offense. So the defense, which has been playing pretty darn well, they struggle. And look what happened today. The Packers defense, Devondre Campbell getting his first career touchdown, which is really awesome for him, gets a pick 6. Rasul Douglas, oh my God, almost had 3 interceptions. On top of that, had a fumble recovery for a touchdown, which was brought back because of penalties, in which the refs were terrible for both sides today. It did wind up costing the Packers a touchdown. But the point is that the defense, there's guys on there that are struggling too, because we could look at Joe Barry and go, hey, the scheme, not great. How many times do we need to go, let's not play 10 yards off the guy. Let's allow Jair Alexander to play man. And guess what? We allowed him today, and he got beat by Scary Terry. And it doesn't happen very often. You know, Scary Terry, very, very good player. So in that vein, players need to execute because Jair gave up that touchdown and also at the very end. So it's player execution that's also an issue. On top of that, can someone please tell me where the pass rush is? Truly, because I don't know. Because Taylor Heineke, yeah, it was close a whole bunch of times. They brought him down, I think, once. But where is the pass rush? Because we haven't seen it. Haven't seen it against Zach Wilson. We didn't see it against Daniel Jones. It's non-existent. And when QBs have time, guess what? More likely than not, they're going to make plays. So that's an issue as well. So it's player execution, it's coaching, and fundamental things that are just falling apart. And so the defense is not playing as well. And of course, they're gassed in the second half because they're constantly made to be put on the field over and over and over again. Because I know it's going to sound like a broken record. Let's look at what Washington did today. Heineke, 20 for 33, 201 yards, 2 touchdowns, an interception, right? Guess what they did primarily? They ran the football because that's how you beat the 2022 Green Bay Packers, which is deja vu for a lot of us Packers fans. Brian Robinson Jr., 20 carries, 73 yards. Antonio Gibson's 10 carries, 29 yards, a total of 168 rushing yards. And at the end of the game, where your defense is already tired, just start pounding away with the run game. And guess what? Sooner or later, those holes are going to open and the defense is just going to get gassed. And that's what happened today. And at the very end, the Packers had an opportunity to come back and get it. The defense, they were unable to stop them. They got the ball back. They didn't even try a Hail Mary. They fall flat on their face. Didn't work out. And yes, as I said before, the refs were not great today. But if you're looking at this one game and be like, oh man, well, they should have won this one. They should have won all these other games too, except probably the Vikings game. They got blown out with that one. These other games, they had so many opportunities to win it. And the issue that I have is the only difference that I have seen from since the Giants game to this game is they finally reconfigured the offensive line. And maybe it would have been a little bit more helpful if David Bakhtiari was there, like a little bit, because again, I think the offensive line did a decent job. The holding penalties were absolutely terrible and they just weren't a disciplined team. But I think the Packers are really, really struggling at just adapting. And there are other issues that we're going to get into. Matt LaFleur himself. I mean, good God, how many times do I need to sit here and say they get punched in the face and they do nothing about it? I mean, you had Robert Saleh go out on that podium last week and say, we're going to drag him into the water and they're going to find out that they can't swim. And you just body punch, body punch, body punch. And that's the game plan. That's how you beat the Packers. Because they're likely not going to utilize their great running backs, And on top of that, they're going to throw the ball. Maybe some of it will be effective. But if you just run the ball down their throat, eventually they're going to get tired and you're going to beat them. That is how the Giants beat them. That is how the Jets beat them. That's how the Patriots almost beat them. And that's how the Washington Commanders beat them today. And it's embarrassing because that's where I believe a lot of it comes down to coaching. Because at some point, you're tired of watching the same movie over and over again. And that's what we've been doing for the past 3 weeks. We've been watching the same game over and over and over again. The Packers, for example, went 0 for 6 on third downs today, which is the first time since 1999 that that's happened with Brett Favre. So that's a fun little statistic there. And other narratives to talk about. They are missing MVS. They are missing Devontae Adams. I think they're missing Nathaniel Hackett as well. And even probably Luke Getsy as well, because I think those coaches leaving has definitely left a hole in the Packers organization, especially on offense. And you look at the receivers, yeah, some of them are really inexperienced. They are dropping balls. But at the same time, it's route running, it's play calling. And as I've said a million times, sometimes the easiest solution, and not trying to be an armchair coach, even though I'm sitting in a chair, sometimes you need to just run the football. And again, I am not saying that that is a solve everything. What I'm pointing out and what all this data shows is that the problems with the Green Bay Packers are team-wide. Yes, the defense is struggling because the offense is struggling, 100%. So, in theory, if you improve the offense, the defense is going to improve. However, there are multiple issues with the defense. It is player execution. It is coaching. It is the fact that there's no pass rush. And there's no run defense either. And then the offense, we've already listed the litany of issues that the Packers have experienced. And guess what? This was supposed to be our get-right game. Now, we're going to Buffalo on Sunday night. And I know that there's already been talks about how this might be like the Texans game from years back, right? The Texans were undefeated. The Packers were struggling. Aaron Rodgers comes in, throws 6 touchdowns. And trust me, there is no one on this planet that hopes that more than I do. And I'm not giving up on the Green Bay Packers. I love the Packers. I'm going to keep on watching, and I'm going to pray that he throws 6 touchdowns, and they have the game of their life, and they shock everyone. Aaron Rodgers even said in his post-game presser, maybe this is what we need, right? No one's going to give us a shot. We're going to go into Buffalo, and we're going to see. From where I'm sitting, the Packers are 3-4. From where I'm sitting, if they continue to do nothing to adapt, then guess what? The last 3 weeks, we're going to keep on seeing the exact same result. And I think that it's time to admit, well, right now, the Packers are not a good football team. They are a bad football team right now. That's 1. 2, we need to stop coaching, calling plays, executing like we are the Packers of old, because we are not. Whether that's because no Devontae or Hackett or MVS or whatever. We're not. We need to coach and play and execute as the 2022 Green Bay Packers. And that's when it comes down, a lot of it, to coaching. You take those players and you put them in the best position to succeed. And again, Rodgers, he's yelling and things like that too. He's frustrated. Everybody's frustrated. And he's not playing his best either. So this is a team-wide problem. I said this on the stream. They're not playing like a team, and it shows. Because every now and then, right, there's a great link up between Aaron Jones, Aaron Rodgers, or Aaron Jones is running pretty well, or Matt LaFleur's calling really good plays, and Aaron Jones is able to have an explosive game like he did against the Bears. Or it's Alan Lazard and Aaron Rodgers, or it's Aaron Rodgers and Romeo Doubs, or Kenny Clark is having a really good day, or Devondre Campbell is. Every single game this season, it's been few and far between that the team is having a good game. Amari Rodgers, talk about special teams. Guy muffed another one. How many times are we going to put him back there and go, well, maybe he won't do it this time? When are we going to go out and just get a returner? And just say, hey, Keyshawn Nixon, who's been amazing, who was returning kicks, he's been a great piece of that special teams and one of the bright spots there. I don't care if they get no yards. But Amari Rodgers had him being a liability when every single Packers fan saw in the middle of last season, hey, the special team's a big problem, and you ignored the crap out of it. And guess what happened? We lost against the 49ers, and a major part of it, offense, but also special teams. So they go out, they get Bisaccia. It's been a little bit better, but that is a liability. And I think that that just speaks to it, because you even had coaches saying this week about potentially, moving guys around the offensive line. They're like, do we just kind of play through it? And it seems to just be the standard at Green Bay. play through it, and hope it gets better. And I think that this team had enough really, really good talent in years past that they were able to do that, right? Whether it was Aaron Rodgers playing out of his mind, whether it was great wide receivers, whether it was great running, whatever. But now it's a different team. And I still think there's loads of talent on this team, but they are not being utilized and they're not being put in the best position to succeed. And because of that, the Packers are 3-4, and now they're going into Buffalo. But I gotta be honest, looking at the rest of their schedule, who are they gonna be favorited against? The Lions? We can't beat the Commanders. So, is it panic time in Green Bay? Yes. The Packers, they got a few more weeks to try to figure it out. But they got to figure it out quick. And I don't know if they're going to do it next week, and maybe they shock the world and they do. But they are going to have to really change things. It's not about add one more wide receiver, the team is magically fixed. It's not put in Jordan Love, the team is magically fixed. It's a lot of things. And they need to fix a lot in order for them to be competitive in this league. Because these past 3 games, it ain't it. Before we sign out, let me do a big shout and thank you to some brand new patrons and YouTube members. First, we on Patreon side, we have Andrew Moore, Brian Peterson, we have Austin Cremines, we have Jaden Miller, and we have Zachary McGee. A big shout and thank you to you. And over on the YouTube member side of things, join the Grossi Posse Plus, we have Riley Welker, Tyler, we have Elijah Oder, we have Adam Bieiser, we have RJ Allen, we have Boca Juniors, we have Candy, we have Leo the Hero, Golden, a Wet Potato, Lopez Skates, Austin Cremines again, RLB, RCB, $1 Million Dead Man, and Crod. A big shout out and thank you to you all. But folks, let me know what you think down in the comments below. How do you feel right now? Where do you see the most glaring issues? And I need a scotch. You can always find me at TomGrossiComedy.com or TomGrossiComedy, all social media you see down below. Check out podcasts on SoundCloud, iTunes, Google Play Music, Spotify, and of course YouTube. And a big shout and thank you to all the patrons over at patreon.com/TomGrossiComedy and the YouTube members. But thank you so much for watching. I'm Tom Grossi. And as always, go Pack Go.